Hello, everyone. My name is Marion with DTM Real Talk Channel. It's the channel that you can tune into, have the ability to listen to the thoughts of others about topics all over the world that touch every one of our lives. Everybody goes through basically the same thing. There is nothing new under the sun. So if you're going through, someone else has already been there. Maybe you can find hope. Maybe it's a pathway that can set you on the right road just by tuning in. So DTM Real Talk, just keeping it real. And if you like it, like us at the bottom, subscribe, and let us know just how we helped you. Just keeping it real. Nothing but love. Okay, welcome to DTM Real Talk, and we're just keeping it real this evening. How are you guys out there? Hey, say hi to my new guest. Say hi to the good folks out there.
Hello, listening audience. How are you doing today? Great to be in your presence.
Awesome. This is Bryant Ballard, y'all. And I have not met this young man except for over the phone, and I like it like that. I like it like that because I don't know the story and I want to be listening to the story just like you. So if this is your first time chiming into DTM Real Talk, we're just keeping it real. I ask that you like, share, and subscribe. Get this message out because it's something that Bryant may say that God will use to encourage you. I don't know. You know, y'all got to be real to yourself. But anyhow, Bryant, tell the good folks. Well, no. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to do this. I know that you all have listened to our last 3 weeks, and it has been absolutely amazing with Ricardo Porter. His story was off the chart. DTM Real Talk YouTube land. It was absolutely incredible because things are happening as believers grow, and we mess up. I hate to tell y'all that, but we do. And so, but the beauty of it is the end results of the remarkable grace of God. So anyway, y'all go back and check him out for 3 weeks straight, and we're gonna get to Bryant today.
Hello, once again. It's good to be with you. Just like to comment about Brother Ricardo's testimony that has been so authentic. And I want to say to him to increase your walk, a closer walk with our Lord Jesus, so that your missteps can become the stepping stones for someone else's growth. Thank you for sharing so honestly. There are several things that stood out to me in our brother's testimony. One of the things that stood out to me is that your gift can lead you to where your character cannot keep you. Many times, we as the church, we celebrate those individuals who are gifted. God has made all of us efficient, effective in some special area. And as a result of that effectiveness, other people are blessed by our abilities, whether it be singing, speaking, or whether it be some other gift that can be utilized by the church. Some of us have administrative abilities and are very good at what we do. Others of us have gifts to serve and are very good at what we do. However, many of us fail to invest in building godly character. And as a result, this is a lack of biblical discipleship. Biblical discipleship has to do with the transformation of believer into an instrument that is a reflection of the image of Christ, that lives his life for God's glory and not for the satisfaction of our flesh. And many times we get caught up in the flesh because of not being properly discipled. And of course, the same church that celebrated you for your gift is the same church many times that will condemn you for your failure in character. So I want to say that as the church, we should not view people from the standpoint of being an asset to our ministry because of their gifts and abilities. We should view people as an opportunity to invest in godliness, the godliness of their lives, the growth of their character, the development of human personality to a place where we can be of service, and our service flows out of our identity, flows out of our character, and not apart from it. So there's so much that I could comment about, but I just, that's the thing that stood out to me. So God bless you. I hope it blessed all of you as his testimony blessed me. Thank you.
So tell the good folks where you're from.
I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, born and raised, still resides there
Okay,
as of today.
Very well. Any siblings?
I had 9 brothers, 2 sisters. I have 3 living brothers, and I buried 6 brothers and 2 sisters.
Wow, sorry. You had a very big family. So you grew up
Yes.
in New Orleans. So your mom had how many children? How many again?
My mother had a total of 15 children.
Wow.
3 she lost at birth, 12 she reared.
Gotcha. And what number were you?
I'm next to the baby, so I'm like number 14.
So would you say you spoiled?
No, because I was not raised by my mother and father.
Oh, okay.
I left their household at age 5 years old. So I was raised by my grandfather's sister, which is my great aunt. She was a single parent. Her husband had died, and she didn't want to live alone.
So let's talk a little bit about your childhood with grandma. Let's talk a little bit about that. And then
about my great aunt. Okay, so went to live with her when I was 5 years old. She raised me in the Pentecostal church, which is a holiness church, very strict. They believed in the doctrine of come out among them and be separated. So I grew up in a childhood where I was confined to our yard, wasn't allowed to interact with the neighborhood children because they believed they were sinners. Growing up in school, I wasn't allowed to participate in bands, sports, go to what we call back in the day hop dances, or the dances that was in the gymnasium. Wasn't allowed to participate in any of that. But I had a whole lot of love. Never really focused on too much as to why I never had any contact with my mother or my brothers. Wasn't really aware of them. I knew of them. Didn't ever really, I think the shock of being moved, never even remembered living there the first 5 years. Wow. I think I kind of like blacked it out in my memory. But when I got ready to graduate high school, she came to me and told me these words. She said, the Bible said, train up a child in the way it should go, and when we get old, it will not depart from you. She said, I train you up the way you should go. She said, now it's your decision. I misinterpreted that as my get out of jail free card. Okay. Meaning that up until that time, I knew nothing about outside of church. I knew nothing about the streets, nothing about girls, nothing about anything that went on in real life, everyday life. But I had a girlfriend in high school, and she wasn't a religious girl. So I got exposed to things outside of my religious belief that I found like so exciting, so new, and got introduced to that.
Let me stop you here before you go. So your great aunt took care of you, and
my great aunt.
Yes. And she taught you she gave you her values, basically. And so
yes.
Sent you on your way. And do you think that was for your protection, or she was being strict, or what, by keeping you unexposed?
I believe that because that's the way she was reared.
That's the way she was reared.
I believe that's the way she came up.
Gotcha. Right. So now you're when she said, you can make your own decision now, were you like 18 getting out of the house, or what?
I was 17 years old. 17 years old.
Right. So now you're with your new girlfriend. So let's talk about that.
So we had our first child. I was 18 years old, and our first child died at 6 months old of crib depth syndrome. Had a seizure. That was traumatic for me and her. We were about to move in together. We had all the baby rooms set up, and the baby had a seizure in the sleep one night. Was born 7 months, 2 months premature, and had a seizure in his sleep at the hospital and never came home.
Oh.
So with that being said, she wasn't allowed to go to the funeral. I went to the funeral, had a funeral for her, buried her, and
Wait, the mother wasn't allowed to go to the funeral?
no, she was traumatized. You know, she was gonna cut up. You know, she's telling me I'm gonna pick my baby up out the coffin, and so me and her mother decided it was best for her not to go. She was just she was too emotional, too upset.
I see.
So we decided not to let her go to the funeral because she was gonna
distraction.
So both of us young. Both of us young, and so that was like a traumatic event for me that I had to process through myself. Didn't have no father figure, didn't have no brothers to talk to, didn't have no one to talk to. So after that, right there, her older sister had a husband. I had been knowing him, but me and him became really, really close. And he introduced me to selling drugs, something I knew nothing about.
Okay.
But he was like a major drug dealer in the city of New Orleans. And he introduced me to it originally by just holding it for him, like having a closet full of it in the house, because my aunt house was a religious house, no traffic, iron bars around it, and he felt it was safe there.
Wow.
So that became my first exposure to drugs, just holding it. Later got introduced to it in another level. Eventually got introduced to crack cocaine by my first cousin, who was one of my customers, and I didn't know what he kept coming over there for, and he introduced me to it. He had his own personal agenda because he knew I had so much of it, and I became addicted to crack cocaine.
So he knew that
by the time
he knew that you weren't a user, and he just introduced you to using.
Introduced to it for self purposes. Because he figured if I had so much, he wouldn't have to pay for it; it would become free to him, which was exactly what happened.
Wow.
So by the time I was 20, the first baby died at 18, 20. I had another daughter. By the time I was 22, maybe 23, I was addicted to crack.
Okay.
So with that being said, still was selling it, sold drugs for 20 years, stopped using crack for years, went back and used it for a little while longer, stopped using it for years without going to a program or anything. Went 3 years of college from 1980 to 1983 at the University of New Orleans. Ended up going into retail management sales, where I used to manage Winn-Dixie supermarkets.
Wow.
Assistant store manager for like Walmart, Family Dollars, those major companies like that. I would be store managers for them, warehouse management, and what you call a functioning addict. A functioning addict is someone who can pay their bills every week. Nobody never know nothing is wrong because they make enough money. They don't do it every day. They really do it mainly on weekends. Friday, Saturday, Sunday they're gonna come home, rest, and go to work Monday. They did that for 15 years.
Wow.
Was able to manage, and just wasn't full blown. There was never a problem at home. Everything was always fine at home. Bills were paid. Everything, always have extra money, but had making so much money. But it became to the point where it became the addiction grew greater and greater. The amount of the habit became larger and larger. Then when you lose a job making that kind of money, you go to a job making less money, and your addiction requires more money than what you're making.
Can't support
now it begins to you can't support the home like you was either. That's the problem came in.
Right.
When you couldn't now it becomes exposed to the family.
Okay.
And now they're trying to figure out what's going on. And you're in denial saying nothing is going on, but something is going on because nobody never knew. But would that be saying because you was always able to
stop you right there because you're going fast. Let me stop you. Okay, so you were
Okay.
living with the lady, or you had married her, or what? How does that work?
No, we hadn't gotten married yet.
You were
We
living with
had two
her
kids.
with two children. You had a
We were
family.
living together.
You had a family and you
Yes.
were taking care of business, but you were a functioning addict, managing all these places for
Yes.
15 years. Nobody ever knew anything. And then when you lost the
Right.
job, then you weren't
I
able.
was always able to get another one
Uh-huh.
because I had the years of experience,
Experience.
but it was harder to maintain the job and my addiction.
Gotcha.
Something always would come up. I would always lack in some area, you
Okay.
know. So just
Right.
changing companies, going from Walmart to Winn-Dixie, from Winn-Dixie to Family Dollar, you
Gotcha.
know, to Soul Train Fashion, just always. But I had the experience and the management, but it just was that there was sometimes when,
It had a hold to you. Yeah.
just
Okay.
didn't want to go to work when I should have been at work.
Mm-hmm.
So it progressed until I had a son. We have 3 children now. They 2 years apart, and it progressed. And I finally told her. I told her, and I went to a program for the first time. Knew nothing about program, but it was a 30-day program, and I went there for 30 days. Came back, and didn't use drugs for maybe like 5 years,
Okay.
and relapse.
After the 30-day
And
program, after the 30-day program, you didn't use drugs.
after the 30-day program, I didn't use drugs for maybe almost 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
After 3 or 4 years, I relapsed, and then I came to a program called Better Cognitive Transformation Ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And in this program, it's a 6 months in-house program. Stayed there 6 months, graduated, went home. Maybe about a year, relapsed again, came back into the same program.
Mm-hmm.
Did 6 months, graduated, went home, but I went on the staff of this program.
Okay.
It was a faith-based program, and the pastor asked me to come on staff, but he allowed me to go home and commute back. Did about a year and a half, relapse, came back to the program for a third time, did
So
6 more months.
stop right there, Bryant. Okay, I'm listening.
Uh-huh.
So you're back and forth, in and out of the addiction, right? In and out of usage,
Yes.
put it that way, usage. Did at
Mm-hmm.
one time you ever think about what your great aunt ever said? Did any of that ever come to your mind? Just think about that. Did anything come to your mind?
The guilt and remorse of that, I think, drove me many times to stay out longer than I would have,
Mm-hmm.
trying to suppress the guilt and remorse, knowing what I was doing wrong, unable to stop it on my own,
Okay.
would cause me to seek to try to null the pain more with more drugs.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
The conviction of knowing better. You know better. This was not what my life was envisioned to be, but it was my life turning out to be.
Right, because you had
Something
nothing to
that,
show.
for the first time in my life, I found something that I could not manage and could not handle, but
Wow.
did not want to admit that to myself.
Wow.
Did
Wow.
not want to admit it to myself. Always thought I could handle it. Always thought I could manage it because for 15 years, I was able to do it, or what I thought I was able to do.
Uh-huh.
But now it's to a point where I realize now it has become full blown and I cannot manage it. I could not, when I used to could just do it on a Friday and a Saturday, now I'm doing it 7 days a week.
Mm.
So it's just out of control now. Everything I do now revolves around that.
Okay. Okay.
So I had to admit that I needed help. So I would come back, and I went. I went from my church that I had been in for 10 years. I went to another church and I became associate pastor there. I was on staff here. So I was fellowshipping there, teaching in the ministry here, running one of the businesses for the ministry here, counseling. I used to do the drug tests. I had so many things I was doing. And my wife, I had gotten married. She was complaining that I didn't have enough time for her. I said, I'm trying to manage it. I'm trying to manage it. So the struggle was in the marriage of my own inadequacies with myself. Because all through our relationship, she was my high school sweetheart.
Okay.
I spoiled her. I always took care of her for 15 years. The 15 years that I told you that I was a functional addict,
yes,
she worked on a job. I never knew what her paycheck was, never knew how much she made, never asked.
Right.
Because it didn't matter to me. I just took care of everything for her. But always, she liked to go shopping and all that. And I spoiled her that way because, she liked it that. But we met in high school.
Right.
She had my children. She was a good mother. But I never would express to her how I felt.
Gotcha.
How I felt about. She became used to that. And if you didn't do that, she had an issue with it.
Okay, I'm lost.
And it was
I'm lost. Okay. So she became
well, she had an issue with it. She had an issue with if I didn't totally take care of her. 15 years, she had a paycheck that she could keep. I never even asked her how much it was. She could keep all her money, save all her money. I would pay all the bills, give her money to shop. Whatever she wanted, I would take care of it. Because her money didn't matter to me because I really loved her. But when I didn't have the money to do that, when I told you the jobs changed and the money went lower and I couldn't take care of her like that, I never expressed to her how it made me feel when she complained or got upset or frustrated because I couldn't take care of her that way or we couldn't live that lifestyle anymore.
Okay.
So my inadequacy, the way that made me feel about, I felt like she was more monetary than about me.
Right. So you were like, let me help the good folks. So you felt like she was more interested at that point in what you could provide for her versus interested in you and your love that you gave her. Am I correct?
But that's what I presented to her, even though I know she loved me. But
but I'm just saying,
like a woman,
good folks. I'm
right?
saying for the good folks, it's the way you felt.
That's how I felt.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
And because of that, I would never say nothing. I would never say nothing to her. I would never say nothing, and it would overwhelm me. And sometimes the pressure and feeling unappreciated, feeling not being an adequate husband, an adequate provider, that feeling would make me run back to something that could make me stop feeling like that. That's when I would go back and use. But when I go back and use, I couldn't control it and I would stay out using. Then I would stop coming home. I would stop answering the phone. I would just disappear. That type of stuff there. So I came back into the program because they just got out of control. My children say, Dad, no, And so I came back in the program for the fourth time. And we got a divorce. We got a divorce the fourth time.
So in light of your reputation of going in and out of the addiction, how is your mindset right now in your desire to are you where are you right now is my point, is my question. Where are you?
What I want to emphasize right now to anyone that's listening,
yes,
from my experience, always be willing to express to anyone how you feel, what you keeping in the inside that you don't want to express. Anything that becomes overwhelming, anything that makes you feel inadequate about yourself, that you feel they're into acting with you in that manner, always don't hold it inside. Always tell the truth about how you feel. There's always a way to say something. It doesn't have to be brutal, but it can be direct and honest. And once I was able to express that, once I was able to open up even with my children about it, with her about it, that kind of like freed me. That pressure, that oppression, that depression, all of that I went through just was lifted off of me. And where I'm at now is that I can help people that I come in contact now, because I work at the ministry now for 2 years, who don't want to come face to face with what I call the ugliness of you.
Yes, yes.
We avoid coming face to face with the ugliness of us. We avoid it, we run from it, we deny it. But until you come to face with the ugliness of you, because the problem don't really stem from them, the problem stems from you.
Right.
And you have to realize that, everybody is special. We all come from different backgrounds. No matter how far you fall down, you can always get up. You just have to have the fortitude to get yourself up. Absolutely. And realize what brings you down to avoid and stay away from that. And a lot of times for me, it was the people I associated with that I noticed from that 15 years, 18 years of taking care of her, I found it hard for me to tell somebody no, even when I wanted to.
Wow.
And even people I came in contact with on the street, it was hard for me to say no, even though deep down inside, I didn't want to do that.
Right.
I didn't want to go there with them. And I found that something I developed in myself, unable to express how I really feel. I guess you can call it being a people pleaser.
Yes, you were
more willing to please you.
Yes, you were seeking seeking your value through other people, and you needed their approval.
Yes, more willing to please them than to worry about what it was going to do to me later.
Yes, absolutely.
So that was an inadequacy in me, because I always wanted to, like you say, validate myself through other people.
Right, right. So how do you feel about you today, Brian?
I feel like really good. I'm guarded and cautious with myself. I'm guarded and cautious with myself in the fact that I'm very introverted, so I can stay alone, but I surround myself with good mentors and people who are aware of my personality and my defects. But at the same time, I've begun to be able to say, no, I don't want to do that, and be all right with it. No, I'm not going to do that. Awesome. And be all right with it. That's not going to happen, and be all right with it. I used to feel so bad, so guilty, so it used to make me feel so bad to tell somebody no. But I don't feel that way now, because it's all right to say no if that's not what you want to do. Because I know I'll help anybody I can help. I'll give you the shirt off my back, but sometimes it's okay when they ask you to do something, or they think that's a vulnerability or weakness of yours and attempt to take advantage of you. It's okay to say no.
Right, absolutely.
Because my yes is going to have such a worse and negative effect on me than if I just say no. Even though the yes will make you okay, it's going to be a downfall for me, because it's going to make me feel a bad way internally. Yes. And then I'll react to that when it becomes overwhelming. So I've grown in that area greatly. I've grown in that area to be able to assess when is the right time to say yes and when is the right time to say no.
Very good.
I have a favorite word I like to use with people now. When they ask me for something or ask me to do something, I tell them this word. I say, let me process that.
Okay.
They say, what you mean process? I say, because I can't give you an answer right now. Let me think it through. Let me not react on the moment the way I've always done. And let me play the tape all the way through and think it through. And then I can give you an answer.
Awesome. If you want to give them one more nugget for the road, what would you say to the good folks out there? Actually, what would you say to a struggling addict that is functional, since that's where it seems you have been? What would you say to a functioning addict right now? What would you say to him right now? Go ahead.
So I would say that there are so many people right now who are functioning addicts and don't even realize they are. And they're in denial, but realizing what the long-term effect of this is this. It will be revealed sooner or later. Always there's going to be a problem in your life. They're going to be a problem within yourself. They're going to be a problem within your family. They're going to be a problem within your job, because you cannot reach the full potential of your capabilities being a functional addict. So you must first be true to yourself. You must first come face to face with the man in the mirror and be true to yourself and say, I need help.
Very good. Very good. Thank you so much. Well, y'all, we are signing off. This is DTM Real Talk, and we're just keeping it real this evening. And I want to say, if you don't have a personal relationship with God through Jesus Christ, you need to do that, because he is the way. We'll see y'all next week.
Thanks for watching DTM Real Talk. Be sure to join us for more conversation. And oh yeah, don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe while you're there.